Shower guy.
The Chris Tucker.
Yeah, Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan.
In seasons of your obedience, like this also was kind of blossoming and growing. So, yeah. And now you can't get rid of you. It's just attached.
I think it's
to
the other
my
way around,
hip,
but I think whatever. And allow that to be the measurement of whether or not you believe that this person is for you and in your life.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone, to the On Water podcast. I am your host, Jin Choi. What happens with your relationship with God on your own in that vertical before the horizontal? Yeah. I was so excited for this new generation that's coming up that's like so on fire for Christ. I want this to be an outlet for people to feel encouraged and to know that God can do so much more with your obedience than you can possibly believe. Welcome, guys, to the On Water podcast. We are back here again with another episode, and I am very glad and happy and very, I'm in a very different vibe today because I'm not alone. We haven't had a guest in a while, but this is her third time on the podcast. I don't even know if we've had any doubles.
My fourth time on the podcast.
It is your fourth time on the podcast because she was with Craig and Silas. Yeah.
For worship.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow. 4-time guest on the pod. She is the yin to my yang. The rush hour guy. Rush hour guy.
The Chris Tucker.
Yeah, Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan. Exactly. She is just my twin. Ruth Altaye is here with us today. Yeah. And we are just here to talk about our friendship because I think one thing that has grown significantly along with just our individual lives, but our friendship has grown because I think you were here for season 1. Mm-hmm. We're here for season 1. And at that point, that was 2023. Yeah. Yeah, it was 2023. So it was a while ago, right?
Might I add, the first guest.
You were the first guest?
I was the
first my guest. God, don't gas her up like that.
I mean, I gassed myself up. That's...
Oh my gosh! Now they see every single time she was like, because she was also at the I think it was a season 3 finale when we were at the like the studio. Yeah, she was there, kind of helping out.
I got to clap and say On Water podcast.
Oh yeah. Wow, I'm
just a big fan. This is like the greatest thing ever.
You just always be here. You know what I mean?
Truly.
But the fourth time actually being here recording with us, which is very fun. And like I was saying, see, this is gonna happen the entire time. We're just gonna bounce around, but it's okay. Yeah. We are gonna be talking a little bit about our friendship and how it's grown, how it's changed, how it's shifted, how God has been in the middle of our friendship, because I think both of us have very complex histories with friendships, and it's, to say the least, it's tough out here.
It really is. It's tough out here in these streets.
Exactly. It's tough for not even just to like grow your own faith and to like be in greater relationship with the Lord, but in greater relationship with others. So I think like horizontally, I feel like it's just as tough. And like we've kind of journeyed through the highs and lows of, and it's only been like 3 years since we've really like grown close as friends. And so, yeah, like in the first episode that you were in, we didn't really know each other very well. You know, we had hung out a couple of times and we were just like, okay, like, let's bring you on the pod. You talk about, you know, your expertise and what you were doing for a living and how God was using you in that space. And then, like, there really wasn't much to talk about when it came to our friendship because it hadn't bloomed yet. Yeah. You know, nothing had really bloomed yet. And so this is 3 years afterwards. Crazy. And we'll kind of talk about how God has shaped and formed our friendship, and maybe it's something that the Lord can speak into your lives as you listen. And so, you know what? I was going to start with my point of view, but I'm more curious about Ruth's point of view on how on how our friendship started, or like even like before our first date. before our first date. Like
Yeah.
and like maybe even like starting with like first impressions, like perceptions, and like how your story of how our friendship kind of started.
Yeah. I think we chatted a little bit about this when we were chatting at Awakening about good friendships and that kind of stuff. And it very much was like the idea of we're very churched and we kind of know how to navigate church spaces. I remember the first day I properly got to meet you. We actually did worship together because Pastor Sarah introduced us and she was like, hey, it was like kind of the ending of some of the lockdowns and people coming to like Hub and that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. And she introduced me to you. I actually saw like blog posts and like your posts before I met you.
Okay, I'm just gonna let y'all know that Ruth has a memory. Like, honestly, we're like the dichotomy of our friendship is that she remembers everything and I remember nothing. Like there's so many things I'm like, I did that.
Yeah. Wait. I went to that school.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. And she'll remember details about things like this. I don't even remember at all. So let me learn.
Yeah. You're like, hold on one second.
Okay.
But I remember distinctly because you had this like aesthetic to you on like your site and stuff. And it's very similar to like what you have here with like plants and like the, you know, earth tones and those types of colors and stuff. And I remember kind of seeing like the Cleo and all that type of stuff. I'm just like, is that her name or like what is, you know? But then Sarah introduced me to you and we did Build My Life and you played keys and we sang and it was just the two of us.
Really?
And it was, just the two of us. And
it was just the two of us?
Yep. And I think like Adam was supposed to sing with us, but he couldn't come that day. But yeah. And I was like, oh, like this person like knows a lot of people because after we sang, you were saying hi to everybody. You were talking about Bible study and everything. And it had been a long time since I'd been back to Hub because of COVID. And so I kind of was like, I felt like a fish out of water. And so in my head, I was like reconnecting with people that I knew, like the Makita and like, you know, people who were like youth leaders alongside me. But a part of me was like, she's good. Like she's fine. She's got community. And a thing that I used to always do is that if someone didn't have community or someone was sitting alone, I tend to kind of go towards them and kind of chat with them because I'm like, yeah, like if you don't know anybody, then like I want to be that person because I was always the new kid growing up. And so I was like, let me help the new kid. But I felt like the new kid when I was talking to you. So I kind of was always like, okay, cool. And then time went on and like I liked your vibe. Like I think we vibed, we'd joke and that kind of stuff, but it was never like depth. Like we didn't have deep conversations. And then we did a like VBS, we did worship together.
Yes.
And then I got to know you a little bit more there. And then we went out for food at the grill. Yes. Back when it was still the grill.
Yeah.
R.I.P. They tried. They tried to stay alive. Shout out the grill. Shout out the grill. But yeah, so we went there. It's actually crazy because I actually still remember what I ordered, but it's fine. It's weird. But I remember we were chatting and we were chatting about marriage. We were chatting about relationships. We were chatting a little bit just about like our faith walks and stuff. But again, like it didn't feel like we were going deep. It felt like we were doing like we were having intentional conversation, but I think intentional in the way where it was like, tell me about yourself. You know, like I think we were almost still, and from my perspective,
like a ministry kind of
thing. Ministering to one another, but we were doing the same thing to each other rather than it being like like I want to get to know this person just as a whole person because I want to spend time with them. Right. You know, and I'm not assuming that you didn't want to spend time with me because I know that you definitely did. Yeah. But I remember inviting myself to your worship night because you were like, oh, I'm just going to go to this worship night. And I didn't really have anything to do that day. So I was like, can I come? Right. And you were even unsure if I was able to or not because the numbers of people and stuff. And it was still somewhat COVID-ish times. Yeah. And so you like texted people and you're like, like, why not? Which is such a crazy like juxtaposition to where we are now, where it's almost assumed. Like if I'm going somewhere, like you're coming. If you're going somewhere, I'm just gonna be there.
And people ask like, "Is Ruth coming?
Yeah,
is Jin coming?"
Literally, it's like a where's Jin? Where's Ruth? And it's like, wait, did you invite the other person? Right. It's like we just assumed that you guys would come together. It's true. But yeah, I think after that, we would still again have moments of closeness, but it was never super super close until we decided to like because you'd give me a ride home a couple of times, and then we would chat about like deep things.
Yeah.
So like there were moments like where you're struggling with something, I was struggling with something, and we'd pray with one another. We had the baseline of Jesus, right? But then it was one day where you were like, hey, do you want to go out for food? Do you want to chat? I had just been, like, I was in a relationship with a guy, and you had gone through a breakup. So we were both kind of like, let's chat, let's talk, let's just go out for food. I took you to my favorite brunch spot, and I kind of was just like, okay, let's chat. And then that conversation just lasted such a long time. And then I think that day we just talked for 7 hours, and we just kept going to different spaces. And like, we went and got the sushi rolls. We went and like went to find another cafe. And I think the difference in that conversation was like letting everything out and like letting our walls down. I think for me, I definitely let my walls down and was kind of like, I've known this person, I've had chats with this person. I would have called you a friend at that point. But I would never have expected it to be this intimate and this close, and like this, like, I almost had to fight against my own avoidance. Yeah. Because naturally I want to like, okay, this was nice, bye. You know? But I think after that conversation, which you also asked me to be on the pod like that,
very shortly after.
Yeah, like literally that week almost. And it was like, oh, sure. And you were like, I was just thinking. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, that's fine. So it almost feels also that I'm like, we've grown like alongside the pod as well. And it's like in seasons of your obedience, like this also was kind of blossoming and growing. So yeah. And now you can't get rid of you. It's just attached.
I think it's the other way around, but like whatever. It's true. I mean, I think a lot of again, like I said, the details I don't remember, but like I think we are both on the same page where that first intentional conversation with a newer level of vulnerability did change, like kind of the trajectory of our friendship. I think even now, I truly believe that if we didn't take that opportunity, we would have stayed in that like when we went to the grill and we had those conversations, it would have stayed there. But I think, like that conversation definitely changed the trajectory. I think that's the thing when you're talking about the beginning stages, like when we did like the worshiping together, I don't even remember. I didn't. It went over my head. But what I do remember is the phone call we had. I don't know if you remember that. So I distinctly remember because I was driving home. I think it was either from work or somewhere. And then I just felt it on my heart to call you. And I called you and I was like, hey, Ruth. And it's, again, before we had that deep conversation, before anything. And it's how we got to the first date thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't think I remember this phone call.
Crazy.
Something I don't remember that Jin remembers.
It doesn't happen often, but I called you and I was like, hey, how are you doing? And you're like, I'm good. What's up? What do you need? And I was like, I don't need anything from you. I'm just seeing how you're doing. And you were like, okay. Like you were kind of like standoffish about it. I think because I don't know if like you just weren't used to it or like you just expected me to like call you because I wanted something from you or needed something from you. But I was just like, I just wanted to know how you're doing, how you're feeling today. Are you having a good day? And like, how can I pray for you and stuff like that? And I think it's also because I believe also for me, it felt more like a ministry thing on my end to do that. Because like I was kind of making low-key pastoral calls in that time because we were like in between pastors and stuff. And so like at Hub. And so I was making those calls, but I just also felt like it to call you. And then, and at that time in my life, I was also trying to have more one-on-one conversations with people and get to know them and stuff like that. So, and then I don't think I knew that's like that call and that hangout and would bring us to where we are now. But I think that's because even like when people ask me like, oh, like how did you and Ruth get so close, blah blah blah, I'm like, honestly, I was like, we just honestly, I think it was truly being led by the Spirit. Yeah, because when we hung out that one time for 7 hours and we yapped so much, we were able to maintain that because we realized how much we overlapped,
Yeah.
right? And how much we like had similar experiences, similar walks in faith, similar histories, and we were able to kind of see each other, see ourselves in each other. And it was kind of like the Spider-Man meme. It's like, hey,
Literally.
you know, and we had, like, I had been going to Queensway. We'd been in the same church for like a year and a half, almost 2 years, and not had that time together.
Yeah.
And so to have that time together finally was kind of like it was God's timing, you know, and I truly believe that. And so the one thing I wanted to kind of talk about is, like, I know there's a lot of people who like start off friendships but then like maintaining both like the depth but also the consistency. Like, I don't know, how do you think we did that? Or like, what have you learned about our friendship and how to kind of create that?
Yeah, I think honestly, well, first I want to say you've just proved that you were the one who pursued me first.
Oh,
so that's
my
very
gosh.
nice for me.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I feel so nice. No,
Never give her a chance. Never.
just never. I'll take a mile. I'll do it. No, I think genuinely what I love and appreciate about our friendship, and it's not really something that I've at least personally had, is the fact that we've gone through our ups and downs. Even within our first year of being friends, I don't think we argued. Like, we were very just happy to be with each other, and we were doing everything together. And I would be seeing you like 4 times a week, sometimes 5 times a week. And like that, obviously because of church, but also just because we'd just be like, what are you doing this day? Okay, cool, let's hang out. And I think that's also the beauty of our friendship starting in the summertime, because we had a lot of space and room to do that. And both of our schedules were really open because we kind of determined our own hours in a way. So, but yeah, like I think we've lasted this long because we understand that like seasons take place in friendships, and that when you are in a valley, that communication is everything. Like we need to talk about stuff. Funny enough, we learned that a little bit later in our friend. It was almost like in between to like the tail end of where we're at right now. But yeah, communication is very important. Communicating when you are hurt or when you aren't happy about something, rather than holding it. But also it's like really trying to get to know somebody because you care and love them, and like doing it from their perspective. Yeah. So if you're assuming that somebody is upset with you, like my big thing is, maybe we can go into this too, but my big thing was that any time that I would feel frustrated or sad about something, I would assume that you were also frustrated or sad about something. Or if you had a moment where you were feeling upset or when you seemed like you were off, I would make it about me and kind of try to decipher it as like okay, maybe she's feeling this way or maybe she's feeling that way. And you would tell me the next day that you'd be fine. And in my head, I'd be like, no, you're not. You're not fine. I know that secretly you're actually a little bit upset with me right now. And like, when I've gotten to know you, and we said this last night even, I'm like, I've gotten to know you and I've realized that you genuinely do not harbor like this like offense and let it muster. Like, you don't remember. Like
Most of the time I don't.
You literally will just not remember it.
Yeah.
And it's like, if something's bothering you, you're very like, say it in the moment. And like, it's kind of like when you're really sick and you throw up and you're kind of like, I'm good now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's that. It's very much like, I can't let this stay in my body.
Yeah.
I have to let it get out. And like the way it gets out, you know, it can be good or it can be bad, but
which I learned a lot.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's like, but it still needs to come out.
Yeah.
And when it does, in my head, I'm thinking, she secretly hates me. And this is just something she's been holding on to forever. But what it actually is just, I just needed this bad feeling to get out of me. And I didn't want to sit and fester because I care and love you enough. And I care about our friendship enough to try and communicate this issue. Versus for me, I'm very much like, if I'm having an issue, if I'm having a problem, I kind of go, I can just put it on the back. I can just forget about it. I can just, it doesn't matter, because I usually kind of go like, my feelings don't matter in the situation, that person's feelings do. And so I'm like, okay, well, how are they feeling about the situation?
How will they accept it? How will they perceive this?
Will they be upset about it?
Are they in the right place to receive this information?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, are they okay? Are they mad? Are they not? Right. And so for me, what I had to learn in our friendship was kind of just communicating and being like, hey, like, I feel like this, or I feel like that, and actually using feeling words rather than being like, I feel like you're upset with me. And it's just like, that's not a feeling. You're assuming that I'm upset with you. And then you have feelings about that instead of communicating that. And so we ended up actually having a conversation that you prompted. But
wait, when was that?
That was last year.
Yeah.
I think it was last year.
Yeah. What did I say?
We were
this is how I remember things.
We were talking because there was the whole thing with our friendships, like all of our friendships at that time. There was a lot of unsaid stuff happening, and like people were feeling frustrated, but they were talking to each other rather than talking to the person that they were frustrated with. And so you kind of were like, okay, everything on the table. Let's talk. Like, we're every frustration, every little thing, every big thing, everything. Let's talk about it. And I was sitting there as someone, again, people pleasing, anxious, avoidant. I would rather run away from a friendship or run away from something than to just address stuff in the moment, because I would think this person is going to hate me if I told them that they made me upset about something, or if being my friend was inconvenient. And so I thought when I got the text message that we needed to talk, it was going to be a moment of like, I don't want to be friends with you anymore, you know, and I remember crying because I was just like, I genuinely thought you were just going to leave and give up on me, because I was so used to people using friendship as leverage in my past, and being like, the second you would become inconvenient or you were not an optimal friend, it was like, okay, well, and then they would go and do other things. But then we had that conversation, and I remember, I said this to Jen last night, which made me laugh so hard. I remember one of the things that you, like, again, I'm sitting there like, these are some of the issues. These are some of the things I felt frustrated with, whatever. And a lot of them were just miscommunications that you were able to just explain. And I went, wow, I'd been feeling sucky about these things for so long. And it just took one conversation for us to get over it. Versus with you, it was like, you left your cup on my counter. And on my table, and sometimes you don't bring it back to the sink, and that frustrates me. And that was like the only thing that you were like holding on to that you hadn't talked to me about. Right. And I had done that literally like maybe 3 days before. So that was the only thing. Yeah. And in my head, I was like, she's lying. Like, there's no way. There's no way that's the only. And then again, getting to know you more, I realized you just say when you're upset about something or when something bothers you. And so, yeah, I think going back to, after the tangent, going back to what you were asking about, like, how have we lasted? I think the communication, but also caring enough to learn one another. Yeah. It's like, I now know the way that you will react to things, but if I don't, I'll clarify with you and communicate, right? Exactly. I'm not going to assume that I know everything about you, but I do know parts of you. And so can I work with those parts and my insecurities and kind of communicate so that we can both kind of be on the same page? Yeah,
100%. And that's the thing. I think the only way we could do that, and we have done that, is noticing. Yeah. You know, because the one thing that, like, again, that whole conversation, because I didn't just have it with Ruth. I had it with multiple people. Yeah. Because, again, for me, like, I like Ruth said, I can't sit with a grievance or an annoyance or even a frustration with somebody, because it like sits in me. Like, and I'm just like, why would I want to live that way?
It like disturbs your peace.
Yeah, it does. And I'm just like, and it's not because I'm like, oh, I need to tell these people off, or I need to, you know, like these people need to know what they're doing wrong and everything like that. It's genuinely not a sense of imposition of my opinion of them. It's, hey, this is just how I feel about what you did or what you said or what I experienced. How you take it or receive it or whatever you do with it, that's on you. And depending on how if you receive it as like, how dare you and blah, 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 your feelings are not wrong, then I'll be like, okay, well then I don't know if I can continue to
Yeah.
keep you around very intimately. But if there's like a genuine desire to, you know, listen and care about what I'm talking about, then that changes things, right? And I would like to have that clarity sooner than later. And I think that's just where I'm at. But I think you being able to kind of notice that about me and learn that about me, because I think sometimes when people aren't paying attention to their friends or the people around them, it's like, even no matter how much they communicate, they will not communicate in a way that it will be received by the other person, you know? And I feel like, and what I appreciate from you is because you notice this stuff about me, you are able to receive what I say in context. Yeah. Right. And it gives me a sense of peace where she knows why I'm saying this. And like, and because I know sometimes you're a little nervous being. And like,
I do be nervous.
And so when someone's like, oh, I need to talk to you about something, you're like, all the million different things coming. I
remember sending you a text message being like, and I rewrote the message like 6 times, but I sent it. I was just like, hey, could you at least tell me what we're talking about? Right. And honestly, like, I would like to know, just because I am an anxious person. And that was me trying to like create boundaries in that moment. But it was like, it's a conversation with my friend. Like, it's going to be okay.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. It's a mix of noticing, but also clarifying. Yeah. It's like, can I clarify your intentions? Can I clarify like what you want, what you need? Yeah. And like, it's like, hey, like from our conversations, it seems, because even with you, I think what I've learned most about you is you need that clarification. Yeah. You need some level of understanding of what's going on so that you can also communicate your feelings and thoughts, because you don't like to be misunderstood, right? And you like to be you like the communication to be clear, and you like to have your thoughts and emotions be shared in an accurate way, because if someone misunderstands you and they can even perceive you in a different way, like just your character, not just what you said, and you don't want to be misunderstood. And so having that clarity between us, I think, like, that's something that I've learned that you also appreciate. And so that's why, and I think that's where we kind of align in the same way. We just like to let's be honest and open with each other. Yeah. I think we're both on the same page as that, in that. The kind of like in that same realm, what I wanted to talk about was like you said seasons, and like how our friendship has had seasons and the ups and downs and stuff. Because I think that's one of the hardest things to navigate. Well, from what I've heard from people, is like, when do you know when a friendship's over? And when do you know when it's like something to fight for, and how to fight for it? You said
what I've heard from people, it's kind of like mere mortals do friendship this way. But our friendship is...
No, I'm just saying, it is a common issue amongst people. And which, honestly, I think both of us have also experienced. Exactly. Where it's, how do I know whether... And because we're both avoidant, is most of the time we exit. Yeah. And I think... I can be frank and say that there were many moments throughout the past 3 years where I'm like, do I clock out or do I not? Like, is this worth it? Is it not? Yeah. And I think it's, I'm not saying that it happened all the time, but I think it's because of my avoidance that I immediately just jumped to that conclusion, where it's like, it's just one kind of like lack of communication. And immediately my thought process is like, oh my gosh, it's done. It's over. You know what I mean? And because that's the immediate conclusion that I draw to, that like, it just festers up anxiety when it comes to the friendship. And so, like, even this going in and out of season, but still maintaining a friendship and an understanding, I personally feel like it has been the choice. Yeah. You know, it's, again, I'm the kind of person who goes by how I feel, you know, and I think there were times when there was like anxieties about our friendship and like assumptions that I would create about our friendship, or even lack thereof. Like, I think the one thing I did most, and I've shared this with you, is comparing friendships with you, with other people, and with me. And I think because I think there's a lot of people that have always told us that, like, we're twins,
Bati and bench.
Exactly. But for me, I was like, but if I don't feel that in that moment in our friendship, then is it real?
Yeah.
Is it true?
Yeah.
Is it like, and I had like an arbitrary measurement of how close we were just based on how I felt rather than what I knew, like what the history was and what I knew to be true.
Yeah.
And I think it's me, I had to fight against my temptation, if that's the right word, to kind of be like, I don't feel close to her, so that means we're not close.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we've seen each other for a long time, and so we're not, besties anymore. Like she hasn't been around a church, and so that's why we're not that close anymore. And I think I had that arbitrary. To be honest, I can't even tell you what that measurement was. Was it time? Was it like how many times we saw each other? Was it like I didn't even have that measurement kind of very clear in my head, but it, like, again, it was based on how I felt, and I had to fight against that and be like, try and remember, kind of similarly to the Israelites and with the Lord in the desert. It's like, remember the history of what your relationship was built upon and all the different things you had to go through and the things that you shared and the fun but also sad moments that you shared, the things that you worked on together. We did worship together for a long time, and we still are. And like, remember those things and remember the conversations that you've had. Remember the vulnerability that you shared with one another, and allow that to be the measurement of whether or not you believe that this person is for you and in your life. And I think that had to be a consistent, like, one reminder on my part. And yeah, like I think that's how I have navigated the ups and downs of our friendship, is to not just go by what I believe our friendship is, but also like listening to you.
Believe me.
And listening to you and trusting you, and even in your absence, trusting your heart and trusting like your character, and kind of knowing who you are rather than projecting who I think you are in that moment based on how I feel. Right. And that's kind of what I believe has kept me kind of, within the ups and downs of our friendship. But
I think it's also tough because, like, again, going back to how you process and how you kind of need a moment to just talk and like say what you feel. When I'm not there, it's like you're sitting with those feelings by yourself. Right. And so you're kind of like, I usually say something and then we talk about it and then I'm reassured. But now I don't have that space to say something. It's also very interesting because like our friendship has had like ups and downs. Again, I've seen a lot of people in friendships, and our downs are like, they're not that down, like we've been,
we're a little bit of dip, not down,
dip, but it's like readjust.
Right.
No, but it's funny because sometimes we have different seasons of our own ups and downs, and so our friendship will reflect that. Like if we made a chart of like when we felt like there was a down, or where we felt like we were on an up, or where we felt like it was kind of like a plateau. We'd probably draw different lines and different paths, which I think people underestimate in friendship. Usually people will say something like, this is a definitive down. This is a definitive up. And without communication, you actually won't know if somebody is feeling like they're a little bit further away from you. Like this is one thing we talk about too, where I remember we were talking about like best friends and stuff. And you were telling me, and you were being very like vulnerable. And sharing with me that like labels are hard for you, and that like the idea of a best friend or even just like a closest friend and that kind of stuff was like tough, because you're like, people kind of come and go, and like there are seasons and that kind of stuff. And I remember being like, yeah, I'm still going to call you my best friend. Like, that's fine for you, but like, I'm still going to call you my best friend. And I know that your actions are are showing me that I too am your best friend in the way that I define it. Right.
Exactly.
And so sometimes because of the way that we define our own terms and what best friend means to us or what close friend means to us, we think that person should call me that, but it means something completely different to that person, right? Or it means something that maybe something they can't communicate or they can't necessarily feel in that way, but we both know what we are to each other and we both feel that. We both experience it every single day. So it's kind of like bringing that understanding for one another and being like, okay, I understand this is a mutual, like this is a reciprocal relationship. And then kind of going from that is super important. I also, like as an avoidant as well, want to say that I've had the same feelings. Like I've had the, oh dang, like I haven't spoken to her in a long time. And, you know, like, does she still care about me? And it's funny because we both are the same person, different fonts. Your way of viewing things is very like, is it going to be worth it? Are we really that close of friends and stuff? And like that from like from your perspective, right? Versus for me, I put it in the other person's perspective of, do they want to be my friend? Do they think I'm worth it? Do they think I'm going to be a good friend to them? And like, are they not with me in my life right now because they don't like me anymore and stuff? And so again, communication clears that up. But yeah.
No, and this is why I always say we take turns.
Yeah. We do. It literally is like this.
We take turns. Like, I think it is a image of reciprocation, of us doing it for each other, knowing what our thought processes are. Again, like kind of putting everything together, reciprocity, but also noticing and caring enough about the person that you will pay attention to how they want to be communicated with and what they need. And it's hard work. You need to love that person and care about that person enough to be like, okay, like this is how they need to be spoken to. And so for me, I know Ruth needs clarification on my feelings because she doesn't like to guess. And she needs it done very clearly and not like, oh, like, you know, like not sugarcoating, just telling it to you directly, you know?
As an anxious person, the best people in my life are the ones who are just straight with me. Like we'll just, and people would assume it's the opposite because they're like, she's anxious. I don't want to, and no, tell me so I don't have to guess.
Exactly. And that's why I'm like, I'm still your friend. I still love you. You know, it's like, okay, thanks.
Okay. Now tell me.
Right. And like that reassurance is something I am free and open and wanting to do. For the sake of you being able to really know and have a good gauge of how I'm feeling in this friendship, right?
And that's you sacrificing. Like you are constantly growing as a person when it comes down to introspection, when it comes down to like knowing exactly how you feel. And I know that our friendship has challenged you, but also has forced you to have that conversation with yourself and with me. But I appreciate that sacrifice because of my kind of needing you to communicate what exactly. And then on my end, there's sacrifice where sometimes I'm just going to have to trust you and trust your heart and go, okay, even though she's not telling me exactly how she's feeling and she's not maybe responding to the questions, I'm just going to trust that like, it's not a feeling of I don't love you anymore or like get out of here, you know?
Right. 100%. And I think that's where, like one conversation that is very distinct for me is, I don't even know what the topic was. Again, my memory. I don't remember.
Like, oh no.
But I just remember how I felt in that moment. But like I was like, I think we had a disagreement on something. And then I was genuinely not seeing your perspective. Do you remember what it was on?
It's one of two things. Because in our first 2 years of friendship, I think we had only really had 2 major disagreements that we like fought about, but it wasn't even a fight. It was like I'm going to respect you and just not deal with this. One of them was a cultural thing where we were talking about, you were saying that there weren't Koreans like at our
right,
church
right,
and
right,
stuff.
right,
And we were
right.
chatting a little bit about
Yeah,
that
yeah.
and how you were like, I wish there was more representation and stuff.
Yeah.
And I had pointed out some of the Koreans at our
Yeah,
church.
yeah.
And I remember us talking kind of about like how you wanted to connect.
Yeah.
But I didn't take the perspective of how you wanted to connect and rather took it as like but there are Koreans at our church.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you could connect with them culturally.
Right.
And you're choosing not to.
Right.
But that was because you wanted to connect on a certain level or in a certain way with people who were in similar places with you, with your culture.
Right.
Versus what I took was like, when I see an Ethiopian at church, I talk to them. So I'm like, why? But I was taking it from my perspective rather than yours.
Right.
So we were disagreeing, and it was like, but you couldn't see my perspective, and you're just like, no.
Yeah.
No.
And I don't know if it was that specific one.
The other one was
the
just like there was a grievance, and I was like, you should talk to these people about this grievance, because they did do something to hurt you.
Yeah.
And I was like, but the onus is still on you to talk to them.
Right.
And you were kind of like, no.
Oh my gosh,
I'm not going to talk to them.
I remember now.
And it was something along the lines of like God knows my heart, and like I'm going to pray about, and in my perspective, sometimes I can be a little bit robotic, and if it's like Scripture says this, so we're going to do it that way. So I'm just like, you need to make peace. You need to go and like do what you can to make peace. And I'm like, why aren't you doing that?
Right.
And then you were just like, because I don't think I should right now. And I was like, well, then you're being disobedient to the Bible. And it was like,
Right. And I think that's where I think, I don't know if we can say we were both right, but we both had our reasonings and our perspectives. I think your biblical perspective was correct, but I also think that it's, again, the pendulum swing between for lack of better words, like obedience to the law and grace. Yeah. Like that pendulum swing, right? Because in that moment I needed grace.
Yeah.
And you were focused on the obedience of the law, right? And so I think, again, like it wasn't a right or wrong thing. It was what was needed in that moment. And I think like at that point, again, like we learned so much about how we need to communicate with each other, because I'm like, I just need a moment for you to just be on my side.
Yeah.
And I just need you to like, and
you said that verbatim.
Yeah.
You were like, can you be on my side? And I was like, oh, okay, sure.
Right? And like, I just need to be emotionally supported right now.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah. And then like, I think these, again, with the ups and downs, like these kind of moments where we do clash were a moment of, obviously, of discomfort. Yeah. And like, it wasn't fun, but I think it did help us understand each other's needs a lot more. Yeah. And I think, honestly, we're better for it. And what's great is that after these conversations, like the one about everything on the table, like these different disagreements, they allow our current friendship to be more fun.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
There's less overthinking. There's less like worry. There's less trying to control the friendship.
Imagine going to the movies and in the back of your head, it's like, I really need to talk to her about this thing, but I don't know if I want to talk to her about this thing. And it's like, no, we're here building Lego sets and talking and cackling about random things because we have the freedom to, because we did the hard work already.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we've talked about stuff and we've, one thing I wanted to also touch on for the grace versus that, I think in that moment as well, I was learning how to point things out that I disagreed with you. Because my fear in friendship was always that if I pointed things out or if I said something was wrong or whatever, I would be like shunned or rejected because people have acted negatively towards me because I've been like, hey, I actually don't think that that's the right thing to do. And so as I was learning to call you out, because you're just like, I like people who call me out. And I'm like, oh, she's giving me an opportunity to call her out. And just kind of like lovingly. But in that moment, because of my own anxiety, I just kind of went back to what I knew to be true, which was like, okay, well, Scripture is objectively true. So if we're looking at Scripture versus realizing and recognizing that your frustration wasn't coming from not being able to argue your point, it was coming from, my friend isn't listening to me and I'm hurting right now. And honestly, like there has to be an intersection between how you are doing mentally and emotionally, and how you respond to scripture, and how you respond to like doing the right thing. And the right thing doesn't have a timeline all the time. Sometimes it takes healing and a moment of you being able to see your own perspective and then going, okay, I can go do this thing. Or sometimes God goes, do not.
Yeah.
Like one thing. Yeah. One thing I learned, cause I did something called 12 steps. And so one thing I learned in that was that like sometimes you don't make amends with certain people because it'll actually make things worse for that individual. Sometimes if you can't make amends with that person, you write them a letter and toss it away. Or you talk to God and you just go, God, can you please give me peace about this? I'm making amends with you on their behalf. But like sometimes it just worsens things. And so I think, again, I wasn't thinking about all of those things. I was thinking about, I'm getting a chance to call my friend out, like something that she says she wants. And then I was like, no, she's talking back. Oh, maybe I go over here and bring scripture, please, please let this be enough.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's true. And I think like you're trying to, again, make things better in the ways that you can, in the way that you think that it'll work. And we always talk about your robotic little brain. It's just like, no, your robotic big brain. Oh, she's a big brain.
I'm smart.
And like how you try to piece things together and try to make things work. And I think we were talking about it in the car yesterday about like the concept of surrender. And I think like throughout our friendship, we're also learning that a lot with each other. One, whenever we do get corrected by each other, to learn to kind of receive that and surrender to that and
assume the best in each other's intentions because of
exactly. And in the moments when we feel like we do want to kind of like, again, like it's not, don't be stubborn. Like to not be stubborn in friendship, and to be able to accept what the person is saying, even if you genuinely don't completely see it yet and fully don't understand it yet. Because I think, like even in our conversations, like when there were disagreements, right? And again, I will say most of the time we're on the same page for majority of things, right? But yeah, like learning how to kind of surrender your understanding of how communication works, how reactions should be, and surrendering that, and just to kind of see the person and be willing to just see them rather than like you might not have to disagree with them, but just to see what they're experiencing, what they're feeling, and all of that.
Yeah, honestly, it goes back to kind of the ups and downs conversation that we were just having. Like if I actually look at our ups and downs, I think our ups and downs were more personal than they were within relation to each other. Because again, I can count on one hand the big arguments, and like thinking through them, I'm like, I don't think we've had several, like we haven't had that many, but I think the biggest moments of us being like, could this be the end of our friendship, wasn't this big like argument. It was internal. It was, where is my place in this person's life? Am I still valuable to this person? Do they still care about me? I actually think that those moments of lack of self-esteem, or even just like lack of understanding what other people's intentions are, cause the big blowouts that end friendships. Like I think the big blowouts are symptoms of how people are feeling, and they're not communicating those feelings. And so that's why they get offended at certain things when they've been friends with somebody for 10 years and that person doesn't show up to their birthday, and they're like, I knew you were never on my side. It's like, girl, that person's been your friend for 10 years. Like you can't assume the best in that person and think, oh wait, like there's other things happening in that person's life. Or when the other person doesn't prioritize this individual and doesn't come to their birthday, like that person's been in your life for 10 years. Like prioritize their birthday, prioritize them as a person. Like those things matter, you know? But again, it's individual things that caused us to kind of, like one thing, for example, recently we've had a little bit of like this, like not very recent, but like months where we had a dip because like we had passion play practices for me. You started a new relationship. Like my work became more consistent because I started working full time now that I'm done school. And so there wasn't a lot of time that we were able to spend with each other. And we thrive when we're in person together, right? We're not two people who just text all the time or FaceTime all the time. Like that's not our personality.
We're both bad at that.
We're both bad at that. But like, it's just not who we are as people. And so we got to a point in our friendship where it felt for me, it felt like, dang, like she's moving on with life. Like she's in this relationship, she's doing all these things. And I was giving you space because I thought you wanted space rather than, again, communicating with you and being like, did you want space? Like to do things with your, with your boo thing?
Yeah.
Or like, can I still take up space in this area? And then for you, it was moments of just like being like, hey, hi, you've left.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
Right.
You're not around.
Exactly.
I miss you. And like we just started FaceTiming and texting and saying like, you know what, if we're not going to be able to see each other in person, then like we're gonna have to do what we can that we're bad at.
100%.
And we're gonna have to get better at
and change
for the sake of our friendship.
Yeah, if we want the friendship to evolve, then we need to evolve.
Exactly.
And we need to start doing things differently and be okay with that.
Yep.
And not just put our friendship in a certain structure because we're used to it. Because again, our first initial interactions were all in person and we spent so much time together.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like if we wanted to see our friendship grow and be maintained, we needed to grow with the different changes within our lifestyles. You know what I mean?
Get with the times.
Get with the times. You know what I mean? So this is a question that God had put on my heart this morning.
Okay.
Because genuinely, I did not plan anything for this episode. I just knew that we were going to come and we were going to yap and it was going to go great.
Very dangerous. Because when we go, we talked about this in the car. We talked about this in the car. That's us sitting in the car for 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. It's gotten to a point where Jin's boyfriend will text, like when she's giving me a ride home, and be like, good night. Like, have a good night. Try to get at least 3 hours of sleep tonight. Like, okay.
I won't hear from you for a long time, and I know that. He's aware.
And you know what? Good.
Yeah.
As he should. As he should.
Shout out Lincoln. All right.
Name drop on the episode. Whoa.
Whoa. First time. Anyways, let's not talk about boys. Let's talk about each other.
Yes.
So the one thing that God had put on my heart to ask you, and I will answer as well, is, and I'll give context, because we've had a lot of conversations, and I think God has revealed a lot to me that in the body we need to be sacrificing for each other.
Yes.
And the one thing that we have talked a lot in our conversations in the car and just yapping about in our hangouts is the fact that our friendships require sacrifice.
Yes.
And whether it be, again, like we were talking about, the noticing each other, paying attention to each other, and not making it about us, like you said, but making it about them and what they need and what they're experiencing in the friendship and all of these things. And I feel like one thing that we need to even share with each other, even in this moment, is what has been some of the biggest sacrifices within our friendship.
Oh, that's
wow.
It's a good question. Oh, like our own sacrifices that was just kind of, wow. It's weird thinking about it because, and this is going to sound so sappy for like 2 seconds, but it doesn't feel like a sacrifice.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
And I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
And so I have an answer to that.
Please.
So, because people assume that sacrifice is suffering.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah.
When you are, because a sacrifice is giving something that is like, that is yours, that is like your time, your energy, and you are giving it on to somebody. And what's beautiful about being Christ followers and having the love of Christ is that sacrifice does not equate to suffering, and it equates to joy. Right. And so when
my friend's a poet.
Yes. And so when, and even like when God kind of put that on me today, I was like, yeah, but like it doesn't feel like sacrifice. It doesn't feel like suffering. And he's like, yeah, I never asked you how you suffered for each other.
Yeah.
I asked you, how do you sacrifice for one another?
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing that's so scarce within friendships, in a lot of friendships, is the fear of sacrificing, because that means suffering, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that's the beauty of it. And I think that's perfect of why this question needs to be asked and answered, is because I think both of us have sacrificed for each other, but not in a way where we are one, like, crossing boundaries where we're sacrificing so much of ourselves to the point where we're suffering, but we are definitely sacrificing our time, our energy, whatever we need, our comfortability, but in a posture of joy, in a posture of desire for the friendship to grow, but also for the other person that they may experience the joy that comes from our sacrifice. And so, yeah, that's the context that I think that God has given me. So, any answer to that?
Yeah. I think there's still the part of my heart where I'm like, a lot of the things I've like sacrificed, I haven't really seen as my own. Like I very much like it's God that like gifts them to us. But obviously they're still gifted to us, and us giving it makes sense. Yeah, I think for me, and it doesn't seem like it's a bad thing to sacrifice, because it sounds like a good thing to get rid of, but I think for me it's like my overthinking, or even just like sacrificing certain bits of rationale. Like I think
because I don't be rational sometimes. You gotta throw it out the window.
Let it be out. Yeah. Goodbye rationale. We'll bury you 6 feet under later.
Yes.
No, I feel comfort in facts, in answers. I feel comfort in being able to know what's next. And I think in friendship with you, I've had to sacrifice like certainty in what is next, or even like the ability to be able to do risk analysis in every situation, which I need sometimes, because I'm just like, I need to feel safe. So I'm going to think of everything that could possibly go wrong and then cover for those things and then move forward. But I think in friendship with you, which I love, in friendship with you, that like there's so many moments where there's no time for that. Like there is an urgency to do things, and there is a need to do things. I've also would say that like, again, it doesn't feel like a sacrifice, but like time and effort. Yeah. Like it is, we say this thing to each other where we're just like, oh, what an honor it is to be burdened by you. You know, like what an honor, because it like things like thinking about you, thinking about the things that you enjoy, thinking about the things that make you happy, thinking about, you know, your relationships specifically with other people, and being like sitting with you in it and asking the questions and kind of figuring out where you are at, and mapping out your emotions with you. Like, again, it's time. It's getting to know you. It's studying you, which are all sacrifices. But yeah, I think that they're beautiful. Or just going along and doing things with you. Like I love doing errands with you. Yeah. Or and I remember early in our friendship, and I remember early in our friendship where there were moments where I would be like, you're crossing so many of your own boundaries to care for other people. And I would notice people taking advantage of your kindness and your love. And I'd get so upset, because I'd be like, they're taking advantage of you. This is not okay. Yeah. But then still going along with you to do the things for the other people. Right. Because I'm like, well, if she's carrying these people's stuff, like I'm going to carry with her. Right. Because like, yes, I can tell her as many times as possible, don't do this for this person. They don't deserve it. And don't do this for this person. It's not like they're literally taking advantage of you. But then I don't want you to like spiral and have a bad moment and like crash. Yeah. So I'm like, so to avoid that, I'll still help carry the load. Yeah. But we shouldn't, but let you know that we should not be carrying this load. Yeah. Right. You should not have to carry this load. Right. Like kind of like walking with me with where I am now. Yeah. Where it was like at that time, I felt like a lot of my purpose and a lot of what God wanted me to do was to, again, in my dysfunctional perception of myself, of like, oh, like I think we talked about this in a previous episode, where it's my relationship with God for a long time was master and servant. Yep. And so a lot of my interactions with people was like, okay, God wants me to serve these people because I'm serving him. Yeah. And so like that was most of my, I guess, how I built relationship with people is how can I serve this person emotionally, financially, you know, experientially, like how can I make them experience the Lord through me and be a quote unquote living sacrifice for them, you know? And I say dysfunctional because it came to a point where it was, I believe that was my purpose, rather than like my purpose being a
lover and a daughter of God, you
Aw.
know? And so like in that season of my life, and as I was kind of like learning to grow out of that and to heal from that, I think there was a part of you that just kind of like was like, okay, well, let's just help her with what she's doing.
Yeah.
And then, but also that's not right. You know, there was both of that.
Yeah.
So
It's like, I
yeah.
don't want you to be doing it, but I would rather you be healthy and not broken
Yeah,
than for you to, you know, be doing this stuff. Like, I'd rather you
exactly.
be healthy
Yeah,
than
exactly.
for you to quit doing this thing and then,
Yeah.
or try to do this by yourself and then die.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? Be like, it's so heavy, you know?
And what I appreciate is the because I think I get into this a lot where like I see, obviously people see flaws in other people than they see it in themselves. I feel like whenever I see or saw like people functioning like being dysfunctional, my initial reaction is to correct and to be like, that's not good. And like
That's a character flaw.
Yeah, that's a character flaw. You need to change that. And that's genuinely my initial response to things. And so I think I appreciate the grace of kind of being like, okay, then let me just kind of like lift up your hands while you hold up the banner.
Yeah.
Things like that, and kind of walking with me through that, but also correcting me multiple times throughout to kind of be like, hey, that was not very nice. Them, that's not very nice.
Yeah.
You should not let them do that to you. You know, like
You're being very gracious because I was not saying that was not very nice. I was saying this person sucks. They're a bad friend to you. I don't like them.
I don't like that friend.
I don't like that friend. They're being a very bad friend to you. They're not your friend.
It's true. It's true. But yeah, and I agree with you with the time, the energy, the kind of I think sniffle
Nasty.
the recognition that this friendship needs to be something outside of yourself, and something like bigger than what it does to serve. Honestly, I think the times when our friendship has served me the most is when I have been serving you. You know, where it's like, okay, let's sit here and let's here. I'll go into my answer to this question.
Yeah.
Is sitting with you through your mental gymnastics. Because there's a lot.
I'm Simone Biles up here.
She's the Simone Biles of anxiety.
Yeah,
she will do
truly.
jumps and tricks and stuff. And that's the thing for me. I think also like my job and my skill set to do my job helps.
Yeah.
But like for me to kind of sit with you and be like, okay, how did you get there? Like what's going on in there and how did we get to these conclusions?
Yeah.
And even the questions of like, okay, but how do you feel about what you just said, right? And I think that's why you've kind of been growing when it comes to your feeling words, because I'm like, yeah, like, because even I think it was a couple weeks ago, or was it last week, where you're like, yeah, it's so weird. And I'm like, okay, instead of using weird, let's use a feeling word.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, I'm sad. And I'm like, okay, we're sad.
I'm sad and disappointed.
Exactly.
And you're like, okay.
And because that's the thing, it helps me understand where you're at in your
Yeah.
mind. And so I think, like, again, a joyful sacrifice that I have is to sit and walk with you through that mental gymnastics, and again, I've told you this so many times, I'm willing to have the same conversation. I don't want to. I don't want to have the same conversation multiple times over and over and over again, but I will, you know, because I want to sit with you and I want to be with you with where you are emotionally, where you are at in your experience in different things, whether it be work, whether it be family, whether it be friends, anything. And again, Ruth has a very philosophical brain, and so she she likes to tie in a lot of like ideas and concepts with the decisions that she makes in her life. And so knowing that, it's like, okay, so then what is the backing or the thought process behind what you've decided or what you want to do, you know, and it helps me understand her better. And I think like that's one of the things that I see as a joyful sacrifice for me to do that for you and with you. And so,
And you do it well. You do it
Thanks.
extremely well.
I mean, 3 years experience, put it on my resume.
But
yeah, and I'm trying to think if I have another one. But oh my God.
I mean, if you're running out, I've got tons for you.
No. You're not answering my question for me, okay? I'm answering the question.
Do it.
And I think one of the things that I have sacrificed is putting up with your
I already know what's gonna happen. Go ahead. Say it.
With your choices in food.
That was
and
not
what
what I
you
thought she was gonna
and
go.
what you can take and not take. Not taking care of your body. That is what I have to put up with. Yeah, exactly. Every single time I'm like, take care of your body. You know you're freaking lactose, and you know you have irritable bowels many times. And I know. Yes, you do.
I don't receive
it. And you had a torn meniscus for almost a year. Yeah. Taking care of yourself. Because I think for me, again, maybe this is not a joyful sacrifice to someone.
I was like, so where's the sacrifice?
Honestly, this is just something that I feel like comes up.
Yeah.
Similarly to when you were like, I don't like these friends. They're not good for you.
Yeah.
There are times when I have to be like, Ruth, take care of your body.
Ruthie.
Take care of yourself. Go to sleep on time. You know, like all these things, because I
can't. I'm in your car.
You know, but that's why we've been better.
We have.
We've been
you know what?
We've been so better. We've been so good.
So good, you know?
Yeah, like I want you to take care of yourself. I want you to, you know, live long, and I want you to feel good in your body, and I want you to feel like you're, you know, kind of taking care of your physical body as much as your mental and your spiritual. And yeah, I think honestly, again, like I said, the sacrifice, like joyful sacrifice, would be to remind you.
Yeah.
More often than not.
But joyful.
Right? Yeah, joyful. Yeah, because I think in the same way as you were talking about like my past friendships and stuff, where it's like it hurts you when you know that the other person is hurting themselves, you know? And so it hurts me when you're like, oh my gosh, whenever, because Ruth is allergic to mushrooms. And whenever I see like hives pop up on her face, I'm like, what the heck happened? And you're like, I don't know. There might be mushrooms somewhere. And I'm like, oh my gosh. We have to figure that out. We have to trace it back. It's just like, oh my gosh. And then the last time you had mushrooms, and then we had to like run to Shoppers Drug Mart to grab Benadryl and get her some allergy medication, because she doesn't keep an EpiPen around her. She doesn't keep allergy medicine around her. And she's
full send. I full send life. I just have faith.
Oh my gosh.
Do not. Okay. No. That is not. No, please. I was joking for the sake of this podcast. Don't give
misinformation. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I will not be spiritually misguiding people. I apologize.
Lord have mercy. Okay. Well, we are near the tail end of our episode, and to wrap up, I do want to give Ruth Altaye the opportunity to kind of speak life into our audience, into our listeners.
I love this.
Maybe if there is someone who like has gone through friendship similarly the way that you have in the past, what would you kind of give them as a like words of life over them, and how they can navigate friendships now and in the future?
Yeah. Do I just look at the camera and say it? Yeah. Do I look at you and say it? Or I look at the Jamie and say it? Yeah. Honestly, I would say, okay, so the tiniest bit of context. For me, I grew up moving around a lot. I lived in 3 countries, 2 continents, 14 different, or 14 different homes, and I went to like 13, 14 schools. So I've constantly had to change and shift and maneuver friendships and stuff like that. And I never thought that it was worth it to get deep, to get vulnerable, to actually like have safe spaces and create safe spaces for myself, because I was going to leave anyways. And being vulnerable is a lot of hard work. Like, it's so much hard work to try to open up and stuff. It, like, you quite literally are ripping yourself open and revealing yourself to somebody else, and having to kind of be there and say, okay, well, I really hope that they don't hurt me. And honestly, the thing that I would say to encourage anybody that's having a tough time or has had similar friendships as us, and wants to be avoidant, wants to run away, it's do the work. Genuinely, it is like, try your best to do the work to be better. And by better, I don't mean like be a better person or like try to like figure things out for yourself. It's like, go to God, find out who you are in him, like find out what your identity is, which is rooted within him and who he says that you are. And knowing those things will help you be able to have relationship with other image bearers, because you are an image bearer. And so because you are an image bearer and you are trying to have relationship with other image bearers, it is easier when it's just the Holy Spirit connecting the two of you, right? It's easier, and it's less about you when it's the two of you that are trying to do a goal, that like it's a singular goal, which is to go out and make disciples, which is to live life to the fullest of what God has given you. And honestly, like this is just a thing on my heart as well. Like, people think that they are just broken and bad at things before trying again. And even just before like pursuing something, like, you are not bad at relationships. God has created us in his image, right? The Trinity is a relationship. And God has given you the ability to be in community. And if you think that you are bad at relationships, I'm going to say this: God is not the type of God that would make you terrible at something and then command you to go and do it. He has commanded us to be in relationship with one another. It is like, again, it's not like a suggestion. It is like, it is not good for man to be alone. Right. He has made you to be with others. So he wouldn't make you like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, or even just defective. Like, you are not defective. You are not bad. Like, maybe you are challenging or like challenged in this area, and you have to kind of grow and work and improve. But like, you are not defective. You are not broken. That there's nothing in you that like can't be with other human beings. Like, even if you are the most introverted person and like have social like issues and stuff, like, those are all things that God can help you with and through. Amen. But it can't be worked through alone. Yeah. Don't lock yourself in a closet and try to figure out how you can be friends with people. Go out and try to meet people. And like, honestly, and this is the last thing, honestly, if those friendships don't work out, instead of making it about you and thinking that you're just bad at something, maybe think that those individuals weren't meant to be your friends. And that's just not somebody that you're going to click with, and have hope that you will click with other people and that it will work out with the right people. Because you can't go into community looking at yourself in a negative way, because God has commanded us to love others as we love ourselves. If you don't have love for yourself, it's going to be really hard to love others through that lens. So I just pray a holistic love. Love the Lord your God, love yourself, and love others over all of your viewers and all the people who are listening to this, because it's the only way that you can truly be in community with love.
I think for many people who feel like, especially people who are like, I think I've seen it a lot in people in high school, but also people in like their mid to late 20s feeling like friendships aren't possible. I think I've seen it because like when you're in like university, college, you kind of like have the freedom to like see people and kind of like make friendships like that. I think people really struggle in high school to make friendships because like awkward teenagers. Yeah. But also like mid to late 20s, they just feel like, oh yeah, like friendships are just, especially people who are like now working and don't have a consistent thing. Yeah. And it's like, how do I make friendships in my 20s and things like that? It's possible. Yeah. like you said, gotta do the work, gotta be led by the Lord, and
so sorry. I literally no yes I agree. I was just gonna say exactly that. Invite people, because I would be so sad if we didn't say this. But if you are not getting an invitation, be the invitation. Invite people. Like 100%. Be the friend. You know,
exactly.
But yeah, sorry, continue.
No, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about our first like hangout together, like our deep hangout together. It starts with initiating something, you know, and trust me, like before and after Ruth, I've had one-on-one hangouts with a bunch of different people,
loads of people,
so many people.
That was her ministry,
right? 100%. And
I want to meet with you.
You're gonna be my friend, you know. And I did that so much, and you never really, and a lot of those friendships and you know, were in and out, and you never really know which one's going to be, you know, long term. But I think, again, like you said, being led by the Holy Spirit and having that same purpose, same goal to spread the gospel together and do these things, it keeps it and maintains it, you know. And so we will end our episode there. Just want to say thank you for coming to the pod and yapping with me. This is literally just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to me and Ruth's friendship, because we talk to each other a lot about a lot of things, and holding space for one another. Look at her nail.
No, don't look at my nail. You're an op.
But anyways, I think a big crux of our friendship is joy and just having fun. I know we talked a lot about serious stuff and about vulnerability and all that stuff.
We didn't cackle quite enough.
Yeah, we didn't. But that's the thing. A big part of our friendship is just living in joy with one another,
having fun.
Yeah, and whether it be talking about our work, our friendships, our mental health, our anything, our ministries, like we do it with joy because we do it unto the Lord and we do it together. You know, and it just makes life fun. It makes life full. And I think and not to brag, but there's a lot of people who look at our friendship and it's like, oh my gosh, like I want a close friend like that. I want, you know, like intimacy like that with somebody else. Like I want like and not be with a significant other, and like I'd like to just enjoy each other's presence. And I'm like, okay, like this, what we talked about today, this is the tip of the iceberg. So if you need like a spark to just start something and like to try and gain that for yourself, highlighting for the sake of kingdom and for the sake of, you know, bringing heaven on earth, right? Like that is the point of it, because I think when we look at each other, we try to be a reflection of Jesus to each other, and we try to encourage each other to be more like Jesus. And so that is really, like, again, everything that we talked about can be summarized in that purpose and that goal.
You're more than just my friend. Like you are a coworker in our Father's business. You are my sister, you know, like that's
exactly. It's more than just, I need someone to make me not feel lonely. Like it's more than that, you know? And so take this. Hopefully maybe we can yap again if you guys have any thoughts or ideas or
on water, you know, like when you're a guest in someone's house enough times, then you can just like go into the fridge and like open the door. Like it kind of feels just like it's just home at this point.
All right. So we're going to wrap up now. I love you guys. We love you guys. The Lord loves you, and you are a beautiful, wonderful creation. And I hope that you are able to take that truth and be able to, you know, in your friendships and in your relationships, be able to represent that and show that and bring heaven down to earth in this way. And I hope anything and everything that we talked about today is something that inspires you to connect deeply and in love with your friends and the people around you. And so, all right. Thank you, Ruthie, my LPB.
My
and we will see you in the next one.